This is Bob Dwyer with the Carbon Monoxide News Weekly Recap, and this is part 2. The information that I posted yesterday on a short video, you can visit at cosafety.blogspot.com, and these are a continuation of those stories. The continuation of the news links will include how our air is getting cleaner from news reports from around the world, firefighters, the virus compounding their risks, coronavirus and lung weakness, your lungs and pollution, pollution rules, and cities start seeing the future. I will take a look at these news stories. Well, this first news story is one I'm sure you weren't expecting to see. I have a collection of Scientific American magazines that go back to 1872, go up to 1930 or so. I got those from my brother. He was a collector of old artifacts. And these were fascinating for me, and I took a look at this one. This one happens to be published from New York, April 20th, 1918. And I've put the things in red and says solving one problem, creating another. This is sewage discharge for Cleveland, Ohio. It dumped sewage, raw sewage, 2,400 feet out into Lake Erie in 1918. They saw it as solving a problem, and it was no problem. Well, we learned, of course, that was a problem. Are we learning anything? Are we dumping all combustion gases and other emissions directly into the air around us? That's our current cultural phenomena. That one arrow pointing at that tugboat, look at that black plume. We may not be that bad, but collectively, our factories, our production, the impact that it has, we'll see that in our news stories. Big question, maybe a lot of people are asking, what happens to people's lungs when they get coronavirus? Out of The Guardian. Well, the people most likely to present to hospitals and surgeries are those who develop the same flu-like symptoms that would usually keep them off work. Read more at The Guardian about this. And again, air is breathed in, oxygen is pumped, stored, carried through the respiratory, cardiovascular, and central nervous systems. Every cell in our body needs oxygen. Well, when our air contains something besides oxygen, now it contains oxygen and nitrogen predominantly, some CO2, of course, that's another issue. But when we take a look at what's in our air that we're breathing when we're outside, if it's highly polluted, it's going to impact us. And even if it's moderately polluted, and our indoor air quality, we really need to pay attention to our indoor air quality as well. From the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, air pollution makes COVID-19 more lethal. Pandemic brings cleaner air. Well, these are the kinds of stories we're seeing as the coronavirus pandemic continues to ravage communities around the world. It's challenged most every aspect of life as we know it, but at least in one area it appears to be double-edged. From the Philadelphia Tribune, those with high blood pressure are at greater risk for COVID-19. Here's what you need to know to protect yourself. It's a great article. And if you get an extraordinary viral disease that will damage your lungs, you need a heart that can work with how your body responds to the virus. Let's read more. And we read more from AccuWeather.com, air pollution, why it makes us sick and ways to stay protected. As we say goodbye to the poor air quality of winter, we need to prepare for air pollution in spring. In areas with serious air pollution problems are usually easy to spot. Thick smog from air pollution blankets the skyline, and a haze of smoke and smell in the air is enough to make you feel lightheaded or sick. Well, let's pay attention to what's causing air pollution. And we keep showing cities at their worst, and now we're seeing them at their better. I can't say best, but I'm saying they're getting better. The air is cleaning up, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Now let's take a look at some more of the news stories that might give us some reasons for this. We take a look at Capital Public Radio News helping to supply some answers. The unprecedented natural experiment. Stay-at-home order reduces air pollution, offers clues in climate change. Well, Not only is California in the middle of an unexpected experiment, we all are. Our roads are less traffic and our skies are clearer. We can see that direct correlation. And a lot of these correlations people don't want to see or hear. Out of Health Day, asthma sufferers win when coal plants shut down. Additionally, from Science Alert, a U.S. city cut down on coal emissions and had 400 fewer hospital visits per year. Now this is substantial, and we can always argue, well, that coal supplies work for more than 400 people, so we sacrifice our people. Well, that's the attitude we have, and I think we should take a look at another way of producing that energy. And a cleaner energy might help, as the Environmental Health News reports, when coal plants decrease pollution or shut down, people have fewer asthma attacks. That's a good article. The graphics from the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America. There's a lot of information about there about what pollution is doing to us. And let's pay attention to what's causing pollution. One of the causes of pollution is that we won't prevent it as well as we should. In this case, from the Medical Express, the EPA won't tighten the rule for emissions tied to respiratory illness. And the more and more of the information that's coming in, you would think that we would want to go in the other direction. Well, let's see what happens when we go forward as we realize that what's in the air and what's happening to our lungs and what we're realizing as we stay at home. Some of us staying at home, we're looking at more information. I certainly hope we're looking at multiple sources. This one from Inside Climate News, ignoring scientists' advice, Trump's EPA rejects stricter air quality standard. And again, from Inside Climate News, sweeping aside a broad body of evidence that air pollution is killing as many as 52,000 Americans prematurely each year, the administration on Tuesday rejected government scientists' recommendation that it strengthen the national air quality standard for fine soot. Out of Inside Climate News. Read more. And we're so occupied with coronavirus, the occupational health and safety, air pollution linked to high coronavirus death rates. So we want to get people back to work. But air pollution, when we go back to work, we're going to start polluting again. So we really have to see and pay attention to the correlation, all the information that's out there, and not just some of it. Out of Newsweek, scientists cite pollution decrease and calls to flatten the curve of climate change post-coronavirus. There's people from actors, filmmakers, the Pope, a lot of religious leaders looking at COVID-19 and the impact on people. The Corvallis Advocate asks, Earth returning, how will we? While National Geographic reported that COVID-19 lethality appears to be correlated with air pollution, a study from Harvard University pending peer review found that small PM 2.5 pollutant particles breathed over many years greatly increased the likelihood of fatality due to COVID-19. Read more from the Corvallis Advocate. You know, we put a lot of stuff in space. Some of it, a lot of us may wonder what use it has. Well, here's how NASA is helping the world breathe more easily. This comes from NASA. But when we talk about air pollution, we need eyes in the sky. We're referring to chemicals or particles in the atmosphere that are known to have negative health effects on humans. So read more of NASA. Look at their website. Look at their articles. There's eyes in the sky. Awestruck. Decrease in air pollution make government's future clearer. From Pakistan Today. You know, looking out a window and seeing mountains that you never saw. You disregarded. You knew they were there, but now you get to see them and you see the future. You see the direct correlation. What's causing the pollution? We are. Numerous more articles. Here's one from Clean Technica. California air pollution drops in every county during the pandemic. Social distancing, staying at home, not driving our cars. From City News Vancouver, people are on their porches, they're on their decks, they're looking from their balconies. Vancouver experiences reduced air pollution amid COVID-19 pandemic. Many British Columbians are reporting seeing sights from their own balconies they've never seen before. Isn't it amazing? It didn't take that long for us to realize what's in the air, what we've been missing. But now what we need to realize is, how are we going to go forward? Forbes magazine, 10 lessons the coronavirus has taught us about the planet. The rapid fall in transportation demand shows that it is possible to rapidly reduce air pollution when the world comes together. Come together. These are the lessons that we're looking at. And from Asbury Park Press, the ask here is, coronavirus New Jersey, staying home shrinks carbon footprint. How much will stay shrunk? That's up to us. That's up to the people in New Jersey on whether they want to continue to see clean, fresh air. Well, it's not all about coronavirus, not all about carbon dioxide increases in the air. From phys.org, study shows global warming could push methane emissions from wetlands 50 to 80% higher. And while there may be far less methane in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide, methane is much better at holding heat. Let's take a look at the phys.org article. And again, they've got a lot of great articles. We really should be paying attention to a lot of the science of what we're witnessing. Well, this coming from the Hill, the U.S. greenhouse gas emissions increased in 2018, the EPA says. And it's interesting because now EPA says they're not going to add any more restrictions on pollution. So things are very interesting in the stories that are out there. Well, I showed you an article from the 1918 Scientific American magazine, and from this current magazine link, methane levels reach an all-time high. You pay attention, there's 4 hydrogens and 1 carbon. That's the chemical formula for methane. And methane is the predominant gas in natural gas. And a lot of you paying attention to what I'm saying and what's in the news may not understand. Methane comes from natural gas. So when we're fracking and we're leaking, there's some extra methane that gets out. But it also comes from decompositions, and there's a lot to learn. This graphic comes from the Australian Academy of Science, the news article from Scientific American. It's a good article to read. And there were numerous articles reporting on the Chernobyl fires. This one out of Forbes. A lot of people may not remember Chernobyl, the nuclear catastrophe that took place there. But the fires around the area, I mean, there's forest fires all over the world that have forests and brushlands. Then it's dry, and the air quality plummeting. Fires that burned near the Chernobyl nuclear power plant site in Ukraine for over a week were put out by firefighters in rain earlier this week, but a new report finds elevated levels of radiation in the area, as well as the capital city of Kiev. And this final link on this review, smokers at greater risk of contracting COVID-19. There's pollution at your fingertips. We're talking about weak immune systems here, and the more we put in our lungs that's not supposed to be there, the more weak our immune systems are. So again, smokers are at greater risk of contracting COVID-19. Please be safe out there. Let's take care of ourselves, and let's start with home ourselves. That's the Carbon Monoxide News Weekly Recap, Part 2 on air quality and pollution for April 13th through 19th, year 2020. I'm Bob Dwyer with the Carbon Monoxide Safety Association. Visit cosafety.blogspot.com daily. I try to get those news stories up early. I live in Mountain Time in the United States, so I do my best to get them up there timely. I know I have worldwide viewers. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate the notices you send me. And thanks for all of you that are participating in carbon monoxide and combustion safety. Let's be safe out there.